You are all you need. Welcome back to Inner Temple, where we explore the body, mind, and soul as sacred realms of healing, transformation, and self-reclamation. I'm Katerina Milan, and today we're unraveling a truth that changed everything for me. The voice in my head wasn't mine. For years I had an internal dialogue that wasn't kind, wasn't gentle, and wasn't even mine to begin with. I thought it was just me, a harsh inner critic that berated me over the smallest things, whispered doubts into my dreams, and made me question my worth at every turn. But the moment I realized the voice wasn't truly mine, that was the moment everything began to change. This episode is inspired by one of my collages, a visual representation of peeling back the layers, of uncovering the hidden truths beneath the surface. Healing, I've learned, isn't linear. It's a spiral. Every time we think we've reached the bottom, another layer reveals itself. And at the core of this particular layer, the voice I had mistaken as my own. The voice in my head had a sharp edge, and it never gave me a break. If I made the smallest mistake, it berated me. If I hesitated, it called me weak. If I tried something new, it told me I wasn't good enough. For the longest time, I thought this was normal. That's just how I was wired, right? That's just what it meant to have high standards and to push yourself to be better. But deep down, that voice wasn't about growth. It wasn't about learning. It was about self-destruction. Then came the realization, that voice, it wasn't mine. It was hers. The criticisms, the shame, the unrelenting standards, they were echoes of my mother's words that over time had burrowed into my mind so deeply that I had confused them with my own thoughts. I had internalized her voice and turned it against myself. Realizing this changed everything, but knowing wasn't enough. I had to actively separate from that voice and reclaim my own. Meditation became a lifeline. In the silence, I could finally hear the voices in my head, observe them without reacting, and began to tell the difference between what was me and what was conditioning. I also started practicing exercises to shift my inner dialogue, speaking to myself like I would a best friend. Would I talk to someone I love the way I talk to myself? No. So why was I doing it? Catching the voice in real time? When I noticed it slipping in, calling me stupid, worthless, unlovable, I would stop and reframe it. And practicing radical self-compassion. Instead of throwing myself under the bus, I learned to stand beside myself, to say, I see you. I understand why this is hard. I'm not abandoning you. At first, it felt unnatural. I had spent years beating myself up, and now I was trying to offer kindness to a part of myself that had only ever known criticism. But the more I practiced, the more I saw how deeply I needed my own kindness. And then, something happened. I started to change. The voice that once ruled my head began to soften. The things that would have sent me into spirals of self-hatred, now I could meet them. Now I could meet them with understanding. I wasn't perfect, but I was human, and that was enough. I wrote a poem called The Voice That Wasn't Mine. I lived with a voice that was not my own, a shadowed echo, a sharpened stone. It whispered doubt, it carved my spine, and for so long I called it mine. It told me to shrink, to never dare, to measure my worth by thin, cold air, to push, to strive, but never be, a prisoner to a voice unseen. But silence came, and in its grace, I met myself face to face. The voice was hers, but I was free. I was never who it told me to be. Now love speaks softly where pain once screamed, a voice reclaimed, a life redeemed. No longer bound by words unkind, I am at last on my own side. Rebuilding my inner dialogue was one of the hardest things I've ever done. It wasn't a single moment. It was a process, a practice, a commitment to myself. I no longer blindly believe every thought that runs through my head. I question it. I challenge it. And when I slip, because I still do, I catch myself with kindness instead of criticism. This shift has transformed my life. I used to think that if I wasn't hard on myself, I would fall apart. But the truth? The more compassionate I am with myself, the stronger I become. And now, when I hear that old voice trying to creep in, I know it's not mine, and I no longer have to listen. I want to leave you with a question. What voice are you carrying that isn't yours? What voice are you carrying that isn't yours? Whose words have shaped your inner dialogue, and do they still serve you? This week, I invite you to listen carefully to the way you speak to yourself. If you catch a thought that feels harsh, critical, or cruel, pause. Ask yourself, is this really me? And if it's not, let it go. Reclaim your own voice. If this episode resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Come find me on Instagram at Inner Temple Coaching and share your reflections. And if you'd like to see the collage that inspired today's episode, I've posted it there as well. Thank you for joining me on this journey. You are not the voice of your wounds. You are the voice of your healing. And above all, you are all you need.
Beautiful human being, you give life.